Hey everyone. So, remember about a year ago, we started hearing whispers about a slowdown in electric vehicle demand? Headlines were popping up, hinting that big automakers like General Motors and Ford were scaling back production and delaying their EV model launches. And a bunch of others started following that trend. Well, fast forward to last week at the BloombergNEF Summit in London, there was a study presented, asking, is this EV slowdown really happening? And if so, what's it mean for the global auto market? The bottom line? Sure, growth rates are slowing, but EVs are still on track to set another sales record this year. NEF estimates EV sales, including battery electrics and plug-in hybrids, will hit around 16.7 million units this year. That's up from 13.9 million in 2023, and right in line with forecasts from earlier this year. Here's some context. In the first half of 2024, global EV sales jumped by 26%, and it looks like they climbed by about 30% in September alone. Now, this is definitely solid growth, but it's lower than last year's 33% increase, and way below the 60% we saw 2 years back. Now, let's talk about some countries where we're seeing a real slowdown. Take Japan and Germany, both major automotive giants. They've not only slowed down, but in Germany, EV sales actually dropped sharply by 61% in August. Now, that sounds dramatic, but there's more to it. Last year, Germany saw a huge surge in sales before a big subsidy cut, which is why this year's numbers look so rough by comparison. In Europe, calculating demand is a bit complicated right now. Many automakers are holding off on more affordable EV models until 2025, when the EU is expected to tighten vehicle CO2 targets. Car makers are mostly hitting their emissions targets already, so there's less pressure to push EVs aggressively this year. We actually saw something similar back in 2019, just before emissions rules got stricter in 2020. Sales slowed in the first year, then boomed the next. Expect a similar story here, with models like the Renault 5, Hyundai Inster, and VW ID2 primed for 2025 when demand will likely surge again. Now, what about China? Whole different story. China's dominating the global EV market, with 6 out of every 10 plug-in vehicles sold worldwide. Sales have surged by nearly 50% in September alone, and over half of all domestic car sales there are now electric. But here's the twist, much of this growth is actually driven by plug-in hybrids and range-extended EVs rather than pure battery EVs, which were leading the charge before. Battery electric sales are still up, but at a more modest 18%. Over in the US, EV sales aren't quite at the pace of Europe or China, but they're catching up. This last quarter alone hit a record, with roughly 390,000 EVs sold. Now, Tesla's hold on the market is slipping, it's dropped below 50% of EV sales, but brands like GM, Hyundai, and Honda are making big moves. Honda's new EV, the Prologue, is actually doing quite well, and experts expect a strong year-end push that could have EVs making up over 10% of US car sales by year's end. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, when you see EV slowdown headlines, it's worth digging deeper. Sales growth might be cooling a bit, but it's not a crash, it's a shift. The EV market is still growing, and big drivers, China, new models, and policy changes in Europe, are still steering this ship forward. That's a wrap. Hit that like button if you found this interesting, subscribe for more updates, and let me know in the comments what you think. Is the EV market just getting started, or are we in for some turbulence? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.